Not so fast. We're not done yet. It's a wild card weekend edition of the Monday Print Factory show. And the comments already spicy. Love to see it. Don't forget, hit the like button on the way in. Remember, we get to 750 likes and CDOME undresses. That is a standing thing. If you get to 750, he takes at least the shirt off. Tyler already with what I can only imagine Big T is going to feel is a terrible take, saying that the newly named Vanilla Vic, Danny Dimes, a.k.a. Daniel Jones, going to beat the Eagles next week. CDOME, what's going on with you? How was your weekend? You were in the Discord all weekend long. We had a nice, very good NBO show on Friday night. How's your Monday, your holiday Monday? And are you celebrating the life of Dr. King today?
Beautiful day today. Yeah, for everyone that knows today's Martin Luther King, and in order to celebrate, we got a nice little early NBA slate and a nice game to close out the wild card weekend. So no, I'm excited. Should be a good one. I said Big T got the Cowboys jersey on right now, so looking like we're gonna have a good little show here.
Gonna have a great show. I'm in a great mood. You guys, we were talking before we came on, are in good moods as well. Big T, looks like you had a nice day in the bet streets yesterday. A little bit tougher in DFS. Just a couple of plays that didn't hit overall that were very popular. Of course, your Bengals are moving on. We were talking, I think Harbaugh deserved to lose that game by deciding not to use the really only weapon that he had in J.K. Dobbins. It's the playoffs. Run this kid into the ground. Instead, we get Justice Hill for -2 yards, Gus Edwards for ½ a yard. But the Bengals move on. Always tough to play the division opponent the first round in the playoffs. And then we got a game tonight that we're going to get into where I think there's some interesting nuances. But how was your weekend? What are you looking for in next week's rematch, kind of, between the Bengals and the Bills?
Yeah, fun weekend of football, without a doubt. Yeah, as far as the bet side, everything hit. It was amazing. DFS side, not so much. It was basically the opposite. It was weird, too, because I hit a bunch of the cheap plays, but guys like Justin Jefferson let me down big time. Mixon was terrible. Mixon's been terrible all year, except for that 1 week when he just absolutely buried me with all the touchdowns. So, but playoffs, like we were talking beforehand, Baltimore was better than the Bengals basically the whole game. They're a tough matchup for the Bengals, especially with 3 linemen out. So I'm happy to move on. I know a lot of Bengals fans were a little disappointed, but in the playoffs, it doesn't freaking matter how you move on. You move on to the next week, and we have a much better matchup. People won't agree with that don't look into it deeper, but I think the Buffalo matchup's way better for Cincinnati. You're not going to have as much pressure up front. You're going to play. I mean, we only had like 7 possessions yesterday. We're going to have 7 possessions in the first half next week. It's going to be a way more open game. Can't wait for that. Great games next week, too. I mean, no matter how you shake out tonight's game, next week's going to be great, and the rest of the playoffs for that matter. There's not any real soft spots in there. Even the Giants are not a pushover, especially with being a well-coached team with a lot of talented guys. So super excited there. And yeah, like you said, tonight we close it down with a good game. Tom Brady versus America's team. And yeah, a lot of people are on Tampa. I think we got a good one to close it. How's this year already over is what I was wondering. Feels like we just started doing these shows on Mondays.
Yeah, it is pretty wild, especially when you think about January being half over. It feels like, in another couple of weeks here, we will be into February. And you mentioned it, that Bills-Bengals game is something that certainly we're all going to be looking forward to once again. Looked like the Bengals were on their way. Looked like the game was on its way to possibly shooting out. And again, Bills defense yesterday, Skylar Thompson picking them apart. I mean, what can we look forward to next week? And as far as tonight, we saw this all weekend long, in particular with Brandon Staley. A little bit yesterday in, I think, that Bengals and Ravens game. How much coaching matters in the postseason? And Big T, I'll stay with you here because tonight we have a matchup between 2 of the least creative coaches in the National Football League and arguably 2 of the poorest decision-making coaches in the National Football League. It could get ugly tonight. It could be a beautifully ugly game here with bad decisions on both sides. Tom Brady is going to have to spend most of the game overruling the pace that Todd Bowles wants to play at. What do you see overall for this game tonight?
We saw it all weekend, like you said, how much coaching means. I mean, starting with Jacksonville right out of the gate, where I mean, I couldn't believe how good Peterson was in that game. I mean, the dude was absolutely absurd in the fourth quarter. Going 4th and 1, everybody in the building thinks it's a quarterback sneak. He runs like a jet sweep pitch type play. I forget what exactly it was, but went outside. Just an enormous call. If he doesn't get that and they lose that game, he's going to be ripped to shreds, which is the new anything with social media, any sport. If you have any balls whatsoever, you're going to hop on. You're just going to get killed by the media. And I respect it. I respect the coach that can do it for that. And even the numbers, Twitter, you got me all jacked up with these cameras as I'm talking here. I'm trying to form a statement here. We got cameras zooming in, zooming out. It's like a goddamn magic show, like they say in old school. But
yeah, they put a 4-box up, and JSU was trying to hop in, and I'm trying to get him in.
Where'd he go? He's got to get in here. But
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, even the analytics, Twitter was you score, you're down 4, the game's on the line. How many coaches have the balls to go for 2 there when you don't necessarily need it? Again, if he doesn't get that, he gets killed. So they get both of them. So it's a little results oriented, but just great coaching. They go on to win the game, huge comeback. And the rest of the weekend too, you could go right down the list. And some of the teams still won. I thought Cincinnati was way too conservative, different things that you can go, but coaching matters. And tonight is going to be no different. I thought you brought it up best. Both coaches have been donkeys in the past. I mean, McCarthy had Rodgers in his prime for a decade and won one Super Bowl run. Didn't love it. Tampa Bay's got maybe the worst coach in football. I think we can all agree on that. Not creative, terrible decisions. But both teams do have a lot of talent, and I think it's a great showdown game because you have what? I mean, 10-plus candidates for captain, I would say. I'll be interested. I pulled up CDOME's sheet on the side. We always like that on Mondays, the leverage sheet or whatever he called. Well, we need to find out what he calls it, actually. But yeah, I'm excited to dive in. I want to know where JSU went because I thought he was going to pop on. He got scared by all the rotations. JSU, JT will figure it out. We'll get this locked in. Where'd you go?
Don't bet on JT figuring it out because he came in to help me.
That was tough to talk. I'm not going to lie. I've done a lot of shows in my life. There was boxes popping all over, and it caught me off guard. I felt like CDOME on The Bachelor there for a minute. There was like stuff all over the place.
Well, 2 weeks ago when we did the show with the first of this new technology, here's JSU coming in now. There wasn't a layout automatically up there. This week there was a layout automatically up there, and then it reset, and so it just fucked me up. But anyway, JSU is here.
That much.
Yeah, I mean it is what it is, right? You got to just own it. I made a mistake. We're gonna move on. And fuck you for drawing attention to it. JSU, how are you?
Me that drew attention to it. I'm pretty sure.
Listen, the people wouldn't have noticed. They were focused on they were focused on the hat. They were focused on your jersey. They did not need to have any attention. JSU, you've always been my favorite, obviously, especially when I'm getting like this.
JT, you're my favorite as well.
How are you doing on this fine Monday? Is it nice and chilly up there?
You believe that? I mean, he said that right in front of
us. JT, jumped ship quick, man. It's just disappointing to see.
It's not jumping ship though. This has been a thing for a while though. Now, CDOME, you're still fresh right now, CDOME. But me and JT, we've been doing this for a little while, so don't be hurt by it. He still loves both you guys. But I saw one of my great friends in need of a little we'll call tech support. Yeah. I'll say. So I came in to try and help. I didn't realize it was going to auto put me on the video at the same time. I thought I'd start out removed from the video so I could just do it and then get out without you guys realizing it. And then, Tony's saying I'm scared. I'm scared of what? That Star jersey? What am I afraid of that damn Star jersey?
I thought you were on them. Are you on? Were you on? I can't remember. I picked so many winners over you. I can't remember who we got tonight.
You picked so many. First of all, me and you were the only ones on the Giants. I just want to say that. I can't wait. Where's Dunkel at right now? They said Dunkel told me the Giants couldn't play in the shootout. Where's Dunkel at? That's what I want to know. Lying to people. I told them. Yeah, it was a tough weekend. So, but we'll ease back. I was on the Chargers, so you got me there because you were on the Jags. So you won that one. I think we were on the same for the rest of them though. So I mean, this is the game that'll decide it, Tony. If you just straight own me for the weekend like you did last year, it's this game because me and you are on opposite sides. I like the Bucks. You like the Cowboys. We'll see. We'll see. Will be the telling game to see who actually doesn't show up for the Print Factory on Friday.
And with that, Kevin Fallick is asking if we have room for a fifth. And
Definitely not.
My thought process here is without Skylar Thompson and Davis.
We can't have anyone coming in like saying Russell Gage captain or something. We can't get derailed.
Without Skylar Thompson and Davis Mills on the slate, I don't know how he's going to make lineups tonight. So I think perhaps. I mean, it's up to you guys. I'll leave it to you. But CDOME, let's move over to you.
You go with CDOME.
And what are your, and then we'll come back to JSU for this. What are your thoughts overall on this game? You know, the coaching here is something that's going to be, I think, one of the variables, one of the dynamics here. And that, you know, Todd Bowles, you know, not really very creative. Mike McCarthy will outsmart himself. So what do you lean on this game overall?
Yeah, I mean, I have two big teasers running right now. The last leg is both Tampa Bay plus 15.5, plus 16. So I actually wrote a tweet about it earlier, trying to get some advice if I should hammer some Dallas because they're plus 100 -3. But then you can also do like some alternate line and get them a little bit more as well if you want to do that. But I like Dallas no matter what in this game. What's so funny?
JT's in shambles with the tech side.
Oh God. So originally I really like Dallas in this matchup. I mean, for a multitude of reasons. One, I think they're more well-rounded. They're more consistent. Two, I do think they just have a better overall defense in regards to the blitz schemes, in regards to shutting down the run. If you look at the Bucs, they've been really inconsistent, especially like the last 7 weeks. It's almost as if they've really gone in shambles, to be honest with you. I don't trust this Bucs team. I trust the Dallas team way more. The only thing I'm a little bit hesitant about is Dak, right? And kind of how he's managed the turnovers. 12 games this year, he has 15 interceptions. I mean, it's over an interception per game. And outside of that, it's like, you know, if they stay true to what they can do, they run the ball, and then it opens up the passing game. I don't think anyone's going to be able to stop CeeDee Lamb tonight, to be quite honest with you. This guy's just had a hell of a season. He's looked incredible. And you know, at the end of the day, too, I think that the missing piece here is Dalton Schultz. I think Dalton Schultz really kind of elevates this offense. And now with him healthy, it's really just going to open up the middle of the field as well. So there's a lot of different places you can attack with this Dallas offense. And to me, I'd really just give them the edge into this game tonight.
Fantastic. JSU, we'll bring it back to you. Want to get your thoughts here on this game tonight. What are you seeing in terms of pace? What are you seeing in terms of winner? What are you seeing in terms of how it plays out?
Yeah, I mean, I do think this is a close football game. I do think coaching definitely matters, but the problem is both coaches are not that great. So I don't know if it's just going to cancel out all of a sudden, but, you know, I'm not a huge McCarthy guy. I've been off of Dak for a lot of this year. I've talked about just how bad he's been. So even though Brady's also been bad, that's also kind of like, you know, Knicks to me, because I think both those dudes have been terrible. And to say one's been that much worse than the other, I think is just wrong, especially with the fact that the Cowboys have a ton of talent too. So both these guys have talent. There's no excuses. They've both not been great this year. But I think the key is going to be the Bucs defense, specifically the run defense against Dallas. Can Dallas establish the run? Because that is when they are best. When Dak is throwing the ball all over the place and them needing to rely on Dak's arm, I think that's where they don't want to be right in this game. But the problem is, can they run on this Bucs D, which I know has been as stout maybe as in years past, but there's still a solid defense, especially in the run game. So that's going to be the key for me. I think if the Bucs can force Dak into relying on his arm, it makes me feel a lot more comfortable about the Bucs in the end winning the game, even if it is winning in a close game. Because I don't know if Brady in a shootout, I don't know if that's going to happen. So I think the game actually needs to be more, in the low 20s type game for the Bucks to have a chance. I could see like a 21-17 game here in some way where the Bucks get it done. It's 3-4 point game to me, though. I think a field goal could easily get it done and move a team on. But I do lean with the Bucks here on this side. I know everyone likes Dallas, though. Everyone thinks just the line's wrong. Dallas is the better team, blah, blah, blah. I just don't see it. The defense has been worse this the last stretch, like 4 or 5 stretch game. Their secondary hasn't been as great. It's just Parsons, really. So if they can slow down Parsons, which I can't wait to see Lenny and Parsons, because Lenny's going to be chipping. And I don't know if you guys remember that one hit he had, and then they went back and forth on social. But that's going to be fun to see how the Buccaneers specifically deal with him. I would assume you'll see a tight end or a running back on his side, wherever he lines up, almost every play chipping him at the line.
All right, Big T, let me bring it into you. First of all, hit the like button, guys. Remember, 750 CDOME. He's going to give you a show at 750. Let's get it as close as we can. Big T, week 1, these teams met. Obviously, that feels like, as you said, a long, long time ago. It was back in September. And Tampa Bay took that one, 19-3. Dallas didn't put up much of a fight. Now this game is in Tampa Bay. Total 45.5. It's going to be beautiful in Tampa Bay. 60s, clear, very nice. Tampa Bay and Dallas. Tom Brady, 10K. Dak, 10-4. Thoughts on the quarterbacks? Thoughts on using them in the captain spot?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, yeah, week 1 was, I mean, I don't even consider that even a matchup at this point. These teams were completely different week 1. And since then, the Bucs have 0 good W's. The Cowboys played in the best division in the NFC. We watched the Giants win. The Eagles are the 1 seed. Washington was decent. They beat the Vikings 40-3. They beat the Giants twice or once. I mean, they got a bunch of good W's along the way. So I think they're way better. I think it's going to be a mismatch. I think Dallas handles them pretty easy. But quarterbacks, I mean, I don't like Brady, but it's tough to ignore both of these guys. I don't think either team will be able to run the ball very good. I think Tampa will stuff the run. I think Dallas will stuff the run. Fat Lenny can blame it on his foot or whatever. I mean, maybe he'll catch 12 dump-offs for 17 yards or something, but that could be good for him. But the dude's terrible. He's fat. He needs to stop making excuses. But the passing games, I do think, get going. So that's where it gets interesting on a slate like this. So you got Dak, 10-4, Brady, 10K. Tough to play him in the captain just because of what it does. Like we've talked all year, quarterbacks in the captain haven't been on the winner. I don't have the exact numbers. Can't be much, though. It has not been the year of the quarterback in the captain. I'll say that much. So don't know if I need to go there, but yeah, I have a ton of interest in both. I think both teams want to throw the ball. I can't see a scenario where either team just pounds the other on the ground. I just don't see it. I'm going back to my roots where I don't believe in these running backs. They might try to, back to JT's original point, and this might even segue into our next segment of running backs, but these dumb coaches might just try to establish it, and it could play out differently than we think. I don't think it'll be successful. Like I said, the only way I don't think Pollard gets there on the ground. He could catch it through the air. Zeke, I really don't like. I mean, yeah, will he probably score a 1-yard touchdown after a PI? Probably. It happens every week. But I don't think he's going to do much. So Zeke looks pretty easy to me to stay off. Pollard, he's explosive, so he could catch the ball out in the open and house one or something. But I don't think he's going to get there through the ground. And then the Tampa guys, like I said, I mean, Rachaad White, maybe he gets there catching the ball, kind of like Pollard, but I don't see him on the ground. Uncle Lenny, the only way he gets there is if he catches the ball 10 times for, like I said, 14 yards. He could, but I like the other guys more. I'll take my chances. As we get to some of the other positions, I like some of the other guys a lot more than these running backs.
It's definitely a scenario, CDOME, where you could see McCarthy try to establish it, despite the fact that Tampa Bay has been pretty good against the run. Yes. Now, someone in chat was mentioning Tyler Algier ran all over them last week. They pulled starters early in that game. And listen, if you're going to give a running back 40 carries, which is kind of what the Falcons did every game this season, at some point they're going to get there, especially when you start to pull starters. What are you looking at here? Dak, Tom Brady. What can we expect, in your opinion, for volume from these guys? And will either one of them be able to pay off that tag as captain?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Big T a lot here with this take about the passing game. I think both teams have to pass in order to really put themselves in position to win, right? With Dak first, I wrote about it in the sheet. I talked about how, in the 5 of the last 6 games, this Bucs defense just isn't probably a defense that is true to maybe past years, right? We've known the Bucs for, being pretty defensively sound, especially with the run D. Well, they've given up like 6 100-yard rushers this year. The last, 5 of the last 6 games, quarterbacks have had 100+ rating. And then, when you look at the wide receivers, I mean, they've done work against them. So for me, when I look at this, I'm thinking, okay, yeah, with the running game, like how much can they really establish it? Is this the true path to victory? I think it's both quarterbacks. Tom Brady in the last 6, 7 games, he's thrown at least 40 times. 3 of those games have been 50+ attempts. And, I think that's the way that they have to go to tonight. I mean, that secondary of Dallas is very vulnerable, regardless of what people may say. So this is a great spot for guys like Godwin, guys like Evans. And then on the contrary, I think, where you want to attack the Bucs is, like I said, over the middle. That's the slot. It's the tight end. Well, you got CeeDee Lamb. He runs about 45% of the time out of the slot. Noah Brown, we'll get to later. And I think this is going to be really just a game where we see a lot of pass attempts. And that helps us because if that's the narrative that maybe we, focus on, it eliminates a lot of roster construction in regards to that running game and can open us up a lot of different paths to finding some nice lineups that maybe a lot of people might not get to, because the majority of the ownership is still going to go to these guys like Pollard, Fournette, and Elliott. I mean, they're all going to see 25+ in the flex, and then they'll have their ownership in the captain spot. It's not going to be anything egregious, but maybe between 4, 6, 7% for those 3. So yeah, I think when I look at this, I feel very confident in both quarterbacks and rostering them tonight. And then I think it comes down to who do you think can really be in that captain spot as far as wide receiver that pays off. And we have quite a few options, so I'm excited to get there. But yeah, I love both quarterbacks tonight, regardless of the turnovers, regardless of how immobile Brady is. And if we see that strong pass rush with Micah Parsons, it's going to be very interesting. But I think with both quarterbacks, they're a must tonight with this matchup.
All right, we've got, not only do we have this crew on the show, but we've got VIP, Kurt Jones, Kay Fallick in there, Gary and Adesify, everyone in there talking about this game, and only 136 likes despite 506 people watching. Need to get that number up. Subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. JSU, you're on the same page with Big T and CDOME here, where you think that the quarterbacks are going to be a necessary evil in the flex position, but maybe not so much a captain?
Yeah, I'm definitely on board with that. And I'm definitely on board with the passing games, probably over the running games, with the way I just said, breaking down the Bucs defense and what they're kind of going to stop and force Dallas to hopefully do, which is be heavy with Dak. And, then on the Brady side, he's always throwing the ball a ton. So I like the passing attacks, but I'm not going to play either of these guys in the captain because, like I said, too, I don't see like the shootout where one of those guys is going to be the winner on the captain. I could see, like CeeDOME was talking about, I definitely could see a wide receiver captain winning this slate and being in the optimal CeeDee Lamb, one of those studs, or someone kind of coming out of nowhere. You know what I mean? Well, a cheapy guy doing it. You know what I mean? So I definitely like the passing games, but not the quarterbacks in captain. I want to be on some of these top receivers, though, in the captain, for sure. That would be where I first go. The CeeDee Lambs, the Mike Evans. Tampa is definitely vulnerable in the secondary, so that's the way the Cowboys win. If you like the Cowboys tonight, you would have to think that a CeeDee Lamb or one of these receivers or Dalton Schultz has a big game. That's the way I would look at it.
Kurt Jones said that he hit the dislike button. So a new tool here. I put him in timeout for 5 minutes. You insult the crew,
Love
you
that.
get put in timeout for 5 minutes. That's it. Kurt, we'll see you.
I didn't
in
know
about
we could
4
do that.
minutes.
I like that.
Yeah,
move.
I didn't know we could do that either.
I just
JT's got
I
this
just-
tech figured out.
All right,
just-
JT, I'll show you how to do the banners and everything and to solo shop people, and you show me how to put people in timeout.
I will. First of all, that's a great deal. I was on this last week. I just got thrown off in the beginning here today. Go ahead, hit the.
I will say that last week you had it dialed in.
Yeah.
I mean, you had that thing focused. The mountains threw you off a little bit, I think.
Yeah, no, the long weekend, everything. It just, we were out of sync. But now we're back, and Kurt, we'll see you in about 3 minutes and 45 seconds. JSU, stick with you here on the running backs. Doesn't sound like anyone is particularly high on the running backs here. Lenny Fournette seems a bit expensive here at 7,200 on DraftKings. Then you've got Pollard at 8, Zeke at 7-8, and then Rachaad White at 5,400. His role really went down towards the end of the season as the Bucs really needed to win games. And of course, this is a game that the Bucs really need to win to move on. But then again, you never know what Todd Bowles is going to do. Do you have any interest here in any of these flex guys, even maybe a smaller percentage for some of these running backs?
Well, I think if you have interest in running backs, for me, it would definitely be the Tampa guys because I talked about the passing game, and no running backs are used more in the passing game than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers running backs. So I don't know how, if you like the passing game for Tampa, you would probably think one of these running backs just from sheer volume alone. And we know what Brady's going to do, right? He's going to check down. He is not going to want to take hits. I'm telling you right now, that dude is the master of getting that ball out as fast as possible. He does not want Micah Parsons and those guys in his grill and getting, hit by him. He's going to either fall down or he's going to get rid of the ball. That means tight ends or running backs. Somebody's getting some good volume. You know what I mean? So I would have interest more in the Tampa Bay running backs for sure. Not because of the running game, not because I love the running game, more because I think their passing upside, one of these guys probably gets there. I don't know if I'd play both of them, though, in the same lineup. I mean, it could happen. We've seen it actually happen where both of them in the flex was the winner. I forget which showdown it was, but it might have been Lenny and the captain and Rachaad White. He got the final touchdown that put him in the flex in the winner spot. So if you don't see a shootout and you don't see as many points, maybe they do on sheer volume alone hit the winner in the flex.
I'll stick with you here because yesterday we saw, for the most part, teams really focused on the top receiving target. Justin Jefferson, not a huge game. Stephon Diggs was fine, but then as soon as he started to get loose, Miami started to pay a lot more attention to him, and you saw big games from Gabe Davis, big games from TJ Hawkinson, Jamar Chase, maybe the exception in that night game. And it's been tough to play these in past postseasons, to play these lower priced receivers because they're going to want to go to their big guns. They're going to want to go to CD. Brady is going to want to go to Chris Godwin. He's going to want to go to Mike Evans. What do you see here at wide receiver? And is this a spot? Is this a position where you can say, hey, I can pull my captain from here and maybe work through the rest of the lineup that way?
Yeah, I'm definitely not as worried about the stud wide receivers in this game alone. The way these defenses want to play and stuff, I think CD's gonna, like CDOME said, they're gonna put him in the slot. They're gonna find ways to get him the football in motion. I could see a big volume game for him where he's just racking up a ton of receptions and stuff like that. I don't think Tampa is going to be able to handle CeeDee Lamb. So that's the one Cowboy guy I definitely like a lot. And then Mike Evans, I think Mike Evans is a lot of chances. If Brady has time in the pocket for double moves, that you can get Dallas on some double moves. Mike Evans is the deep threat guy. And I think Brady's going to take some shots. He has to. They have to take some shots down the field, keep the Cowboys honest. And I could see Mike Evans winning on a deep route here, but that still doesn't mean I'm not going to have interest in some of these cheaper guys. T.Y. Hilton's been playing a lot more. I think he has a reasonable chance of getting behind someone. So yeah, I'm in on the receivers though. I do like the receiver in the captain tonight for sure.
Mike Parasano is in the chat. He says he won $31,000 last night because of Ron Pure. Thanks, boys. You're very welcome. Congratulations to you, Mike.
Awesome.
Go ahead and hit the like button for Mike's big win. Hit the like button for the gang here, as well as the coordinators in chat, including Kurt, who is due to come back in just a couple of minutes. CDOME, we'll move it over to you. What are you liking here at the wide receiver position? I think we were talking about this a little bit earlier, where that's the way that you get to Dallas, at least the last several weeks of the season, has been through the air.
Yeah, I mean, last 7 games, 8 games, they've given up at least 1 touchdown, to wide receivers. And, furthermore, look at the wide receivers that have been doing it. Chris Moore, 10 for 124. Alec Pierce, 4 for 86. Richie James got them in the end zone. Christian Watson torched them for 3. Zay Jones torched them for 3. It's like, now you got Evans, now you got Godwin. I mean, these guys are elite. They're 2 top wide receivers in the NFL, and Brady's going to pepper them. So, I mean, I think, if you're running multi, entries and you're doing 20 or 150 teams, you're able to have that flexibility to rotate out these guys in the captain spot, especially if you're running 2 quarterbacks. And I think, I just think they're definitely a priority tonight, given how vulnerable this secondary is and kind of what we've seen over the last 7 or 8 weeks. It just only makes sense. And the more shares I can get of them and limit my exposure to the Rashad Whites and the Fournettes and the Pollards and the Elliott's, I mean, that's perfectly okay with me. I just feel like there's a lot more upside tonight with this wide receiver core. And then we can talk about kind of like the other 2, right? I don't know how big, I really care about Julio Jones tonight. Russell Gage, I don't mind. I feel like, he was a little bit banged up earlier this year. Kind of, came into his own, especially last week against the Falcons, caught the end zone, if I'm not mistaken, or the week before that. But this is a situation where, if they have some type of game plan or scheme to maybe limit the outside or to focus on Godwin and Evans a little bit more, what does that do for Russell Gage? And does that give him one-on-one opportunities, and things like that? So I don't mind Russell Gage whatsoever. He's also kind of like on the lower end of ownership, sub 20, 18%. And those are the plays that you got to love, especially on a showdown slate. And on the other side, we kind of talked about CD already, and JSU's right. Like, they're going to run him in packages where he's in motion. He's coming out of the slot. I mean, he's just going to be all over the field. And I think it's just going to be a very difficult matchup. He's a very strong priority tonight. I mean, wide receiver runs, if I'm not mistaken, the last 3 games, 3 out of the 4 games against the Bucs, I mean, almost 400 yards, 25 catches. I mean, that's 8 catches a game. That's big, especially, Dak loves this guy. So just be sure to know that he's going to get peppered tonight. I don't see where they kind of stop him. And then the other 2 guys that maybe should be spoken of, 3. Michael Gallup, he typically is on the outside. I don't know if I like him as much as maybe I like 2 other guys, and that's Noah Brown and T.Y. Hilton. T.Y. Hilton has seen incremental growth in his snap count over the last few weeks. And what that tells me is they're getting more comfortable with him on the field. He's learning the playbook more. He's getting that synergy. If he's running out of the slot too, I mean, this is where you want to hurt the Bucs. And so this is going to open up some opportunities there. Yes, it does eat into Noah Brown a little bit, but Noah Brown's still on the field, on average, 60% of the time, even the last few weeks with Hilton kind of in the offense. So, and Noah Brown, he runs like 35% out of the snap, close to it. And this is an area, like I said, I really want to attack the slot. I really want to attack like the middle of the field. I think this is where it opens up for guys like these 2. And these 2 are going to be both potentially sub 10%. And T.Y. Hilton's, pretty cheap, 3,000. But also too, Noah Brown, he's even cheaper. He's 2,400. And if a guy's going to be on the field 60% of the time with that price point, I think you got to take a few shares of him, just because anything can happen at that point. If they shut down Gallup on the outside and they focus on CD, well, then that leaves Noah Brown. And so, he's had some big games this year. He'll probably see quite a few targets, maybe 3, maybe 4. But I mean, if he gets into the end zone too, that price point pays off heavily, and that ownership, it really helps. So a lot of different, pieces here that you can focus on with the passing game. And I think that's why it's so important that if you do have a stance on, I'm going to avoid the running game tonight, well, that's going to open up different variations for these lineups and give you the ability to really plug in, different combinations. And that's kind of what we need in trying to find, okay, how can we get more different combinations than the field? And that's kind of one area that you can go tonight. So that's kind of my stance on the wide receiver spot.
Big T.Y. Hilton was mentioned on the Morning Wood last week, and you weren't a fan. You weren't a fan of the play, but we now have a showdown slate. Where are you looking at wide receiver? And any of these guys, Gage, Gallup, Noah Brown, T.Y. Hilton, any of them stand out to you particularly?
Yeah, I made fun of T.Y. Hilton last week, but that was a full slate. That was a game that they weren't playing for anything, really. So it's completely different tonight. I mean, tonight, we already talked about it a lot. You're going to want quarterbacks. You're going to want CD Lamb. You're going to want one of Godwin, Evans, those guys. And what do you have to do to get all of that? You might have to go down to a T.Y. Hilton in the captain or a Noah Brown. So I love what these guys are saying. Even a little bit higher, Russell Gage, Michael Gallup, all of that range. Julio, I don't like Julio very much, but I mean, how funny would it be if our last Monday night game, Julio Jones and T.Y. Hilton both hit the winner? And just price point wise, they fit really good with the studs. This has happened a lot. And as you do all the showdowns throughout the year like we do, you get a good feel for how these things come out. And if you want all the studs, I mean, if you want a quarterback and a top, I mean, I have to have CD Lamb tonight. I can't not play him. I like both quarterbacks. I want one, like I said, I want one of Godwin Evans. That's 4 spend ups right there. So how do you get that? You just have to go down at captain. And I think these guys make a lot of sense as we get to kickers. I think they make a lot of sense again tonight too with how good they've been all year. But I love these guys' takes. T.Y. Hilton looks great to me tonight. I mean, again, with these cheap price points, we don't need 10 catches from a T.Y. Hilton. We need 3 catches, 70 yards, and a touchdown, and he is definitely on the winner. So I love it. I love Noah Brown, too. Their price points are just perfect for us. I would rank them just like CDOME ahead of Gallup and Gage and Julio and all that mid-range. But you can go to those guys too. And the stud receivers, I mean, I'm on them. I'm probably going to like Evans more than Godwin just because of upside. That being said, I'm more than likely going to have them in the utility up top just because I would play CD in the captain if I was playing any of those guys. So if I'm going to play them in the utility, the floor of Chris Godwin is way better than Evans. So I don't know. I'm torn a little bit on those guys, but I want one of them. If I'm fading the running backs, I need one of Godwin Evans, in my opinion. So I'll go there. I love the receivers. I don't have anything to disagree with anything these guys said. I want to jam these guys.
Stick with you here at the tight end position. To me, it looks like there's really mainly 3 guys in play. You've got Dalton Schultz, Cade Otton at 1,800, and then Kurt is in chat talking about Cameron Brate at 200. Brate, a healthy scratch a couple of weeks ago against the Carolina Panthers.
Kurt loves the shittiest 200 guys every week.
Does Kurt and Kate Fallick go to the same place to get their shitty tight end plays? I mean, come on.
Why in the world are we playing Cameron Brate?
He's advocating taking the 0 to get the other players in your lineup, which could work in high dollar.
I do agree with that in theory. Yeah. Basically what we talked about, right? Like what I just said. I want 4 guys, 2 quarterbacks, 2 stud receivers. So I get what he's saying. You just need K Fallick catching strays. I like how we can put the message up on the screen like that. That's good stuff. But I have a hard time tonight, and it goes back to the point I just made at receiver. I would much rather play T.Y. Hilton or that type of play at captain and not have to play Cameron Brate in his 0. Another negative, too, so I wrote down the flow chart things. Tampa Bay has the worst matchup. Dallas owns tight ends, so not that it matters. Cameron Brate's 200. You're not playing him for, like, upside. You're playing him to catch 1 touchdown, right? They're on the 5-yard line. He catches a touchdown. That's why you're playing him. So the matchup doesn't matter that much. But just know Dallas is the best in football against the tight end position. And that makes me like Cade Otton tonight, I think could be pretty popular. He's 1,800, and that's cheap. Not much more than Cam Brate when he's younger and he's just better at this point. But I think Cade Otton's a pretty good fade tonight too, actually. I think he's going to be 25% owned tonight or so. I just don't like the matchup for these guys. I really don't. I don't like the running game. The flip side is Brady loves to dump off and all this stuff, but you still got to do something with it. I mean, I just don't like it at all. So these are going to be my fades. I'm going more to the receivers, even like Julio. I think he sucks, but I at least think he could house one. He could get open deep. He could house one. Cameron Brate and Cade Otton are going to have to catch 8 balls for 50 yards to beat me, and I just don't think they can do it. So I'm off of these guys. Even Dalton Schultz, Tampa Bay is middle of the pack against the tight end. So I'll keep Dalton Schultz in there, but I definitely don't like Dalton Schultz as much as some of the receivers we talk. I'm on receivers and quarterbacks tonight. Going back to my roots, I feel good about it. I'm taking stands. There's been a few slates this weekend where I played a lot more guys than I usually do, and I did pretty good on the showdowns, more so than the main slate. But tonight, I'm taking some stands, so I'm going to have it all up in my player pool and cores like always over at Run Pure. And I don't know. I could definitely – even the 200. Say I wanted to play a 200 tight end, I'm almost positive I would play a Jake Ferguson over Cameron Brate. I can't play Cameron Brate. I can't do it. That's another guy I could beat in a foot race, by the way.
214 likes. Let's get that like button working. We know what happens at 750. JSU, any interest in Cam Brate or Co-Kift? Someone throwing IK here, wanting to get a little.
K. Alex, seriously, ask about him.
I don't think he's serious. But it was too funny.
This is why we couldn't bring you in, Fallick.
JSU, Dalton Schultz to me feels a little bit too expensive at 6,400 here. I know he's been getting wide receiver volume, but it does seem like the price is up just a bit too much. Any interest in these tight ends?
Yeah, I think if I had interest, it would be on Dalton Schultz. I agree with Tony's take on the Tampa Bay tight ends. And I already talked about the fact, I'm telling you right now, these guys, they're going to help block for Tom Brady. They are definitely – because they're going to come at Tom. They're going to bring some pressure, and they're going to need to use these tight ends and or running backs to help block these guys. So I'm definitely not as high on the Tampa Bay tight ends and not putting them in the captain to fit the studs. I'm not doing that either. So, I'm with him there. Dalton Schultz, he's fine just because to hit the winner at captain, he would need 2 touchdowns for sure. I don't know if that's happening, but is he okay for me to kind of finish out my build with in the mid tier? Yeah, I think he's fine to finish out a build with. So I'm going to leave him in my pool. But the tight ends, I'm not as high on for this game specifically on either side.
See, don't bring us home here at the tight end position. I know you posted about how Dallas was elite against the tight end position, very good defensively. Any thoughts on Schultz on the other side?
Yeah, I mean, the Bucs, last 5 of the last 7 games, I mean, tight ends have gotten there, and they've also found the end zone. You would have to think Dalton Schultz.
Kurt said Brate's a slot receiver. Come on, Kurt.
I lost my train of thought.
I apologize.
You should have lost your train of thought after that.
I mean, picture Cam Brate as a slot receiver.
Going back to the Dalton Schultz, he's 6,400, and if he gets 20 to 25% ownership, I mean, this is still a favorite target of that. And so the roller coaster of, him being in double-digit scoring and single-digit scoring has been sporadic throughout the year for Dalton when he's healthy. But, I mean, once again, this is an area that Tampa Bay has struggled with, especially late here in the season. You would have to think that is going to be of notice from the Cowboys. And so I do like Dalton Schultz a lot. The other side, it's like Big T said, they've been very elite, this Cowboys defense. They've never, this whole entire year, they've only given up 1 touchdown, 2 tight ends. And so what does that do for you as far as the psyche and picking between Otten and Brate? I mean, Brate, you're probably picking just because you have $200 salary left and you're just hoping that he gets a couple catches or a catch or even a freaking target for that matter. But it still gives you the ability to have some form of roster construction with those 5 other guys. So I get that. And then, with Cade Otton, he's going to be chalk. 1,800. He'll be on the field 80% of the time. That's up to you. If you want to fade him or if you think that he can get there, it's kind of going to be like that Oliver thing last night, right? Oliver was on the winning solo shipper, in that Ravens-Bengals game. So I don't know. I'm still on the fence with Otton. I think it's important to maybe have him in a couple just because it kind of fits some good roster construction. As far as leverage on the field, it's pretty neutral. But outside of that, it's one side has been struggling against tight ends. The other ones have been shutting down tight ends. So what does that do for you tonight in your psyche with rostering? I'm not too sure. I think I'm going to stay away from like the Fergusons and the Hendershoots. Like at that point, you're just trying to, hit the lottery. And I think it just makes more sense that if you really want to focus on someone, Dalton Schultz of all the tight ends definitely has the top priority for sure.
All right, hit the like button. Got about maybe 15 more minutes here, unless we get into a prolonged discussion based on something that someone says in the chat or something entertaining. If you can entertain us, maybe we get a few more minutes here. Big T, let me bring this back to you to start out this last section here. Defenses, kickers, kind of something that's been very, very beneficial to One Pure Sports all season long in the showdown format. First thing that jumps out to me, the Tampa Bay defense at 3,400 looks very cheap for a showdown salary in terms of defense. We know how Dak has been in terms of maybe not being as protective of the football this season. And then Brett Maher, 3,800, other side, the Dallas kicker. What are your thoughts here at defense and kicker?
Yeah, very interesting discussion points here tonight. And it goes back again. We need mid-tier builds to get these studs in. So that's kickers and captains. And it's the one position I think you can look at game logs. I said this all year on this show. It's the one position you can look at game logs more than others because it's important to me. Maybe it's not to others, but so you look at Mayer, first of all, just because it sticks out just how good he's been. I mean, he has two, and I don't even count last week because that was just whatever it was. So throw that out. He's got 2, 4, 5, 7, 9 double-digit games for a kicker. That is outrageous because Dallas moves the ball as good as anyone, and the McCarthy or the Boise State guy that calls the plays, I'm drawing a blank, whatever his name is, they buckle out and they kick field goals. So great play there. Definitely my favorite of the four. Then you kind of dive deeper into this. So a lot of people like the Bucs D because of all Dak's turnovers lately. I dig a little deeper and you just don't see double. I mean, they haven't had a double-digit game since the second week of the season when Andy Dalton threw them 2 pick sixes. Every other game, 3, 8, 8, 3, -2. Tampa's D's been terrible, and this is another reason I think Dallas handles them tonight. Their D's been bad. Dak's going to be good tonight. That's a fade for me, honestly, Tampa's D. I will not be on Tampa's D. They've been so bad. You look at Dallas's D, they averaged 10 points on the season because of why? Same reasons like JSU likes Tampa. Dallas gambles, which opens up the passing game for big plays. So it goes both ways. If you got Brady in the passing game, I love playing the Dallas D with it. We talk about it all the time on this show. But if they're going to gamble, maybe they get it. Maybe they don't. That's good for us either way, right? So I think the Dallas D and Mayer is incredible. I mean, you look at these double-digit games. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 double-digit games from the defense. You play the kicker and the D with that. I mean, without looking it up, I have to imagine they're both top 3 in their positions with that many points. So I love both of those. I think Tampa can go between the 20s too and kick field goals. So let's look at Suckup. He's been solid too. A 15-point game, 12, 10, 14, 10. So he's got about 6 double-digit games himself. So I'm on those 3. Tampa's D will definitely be my fade. No matter what you say about Dallas, I think they're going to score points. Tampa's going to have to score to win, and they could too because Dallas takes chances. I could see Tom really dicing them up, even though all jokes aside, they take chances. I could see both teams scoring a little, but Tampa's D, the only way they end up on the winner is if Dak throws a pick six, which obviously he could. He's been terrible lately. I agree. But I think Tampa's D might be more popular than people think just because of Dak. He's looked so bad lately. I think Dak crushes tonight. I think Dak has a really good game. So my fade will be Tampa's D.
All right. Go ahead. Hit the like button. Subscribe if you're not a member. I almost forgot. Use code JTHays15. It gives you, I think, 15% off your first month's payment. So there you go. That's a little discount courtesy of your friend JT. JSU, kickers, defenses, on the same page with Big T, or do we get to see maybe you guys go at it for about 10 minutes?
Yeah, so I always love going at my guy Big T, but from the kicker angle, I don't know how you don't like these kickers. I think these kickers are really, really good plays. I talked about Dak's struggles and Brady's struggles too. I could easily see a game situation where both of them move the ball a little bit, but stall out, and these kickers are in play and make big field goals, have multiple chances at field goal attempts. And like I said, I think this game is like a 3-point game. I think it comes down to a field goal. And so, yeah, I'm on these kickers for sure. And it's funny. I like the Bucks here in this game. I've said it the whole show. I like the Bucks to win. I also, for Showdown, know, as Tony already said, even if you like the Bucks, you should play some Cowboys defense as long as their ownership is not too egregious, which I don't know. Tony, I don't know if the ownership is wild on either defense as of now, but it makes sense because of how aggressive they are. Where Tampa Bay, they're not the same type of defense. So even though I like the Bucks here, I will play, even in my Bucks captain teams, I will have some Dallas defense because I could see a pick six. I could see, a turnover to the house for Dallas a little more than the Bucks, even though I still think Dak probably has a turnover or so. I just think that the aggressive style and the Cowboys, the way they play, could result in the big fantasy game for the defense, where that's what you want in Showdown and stuff like that. And you play them in a 3-3 or 4-2 type build with a Buck in the captain, you're going to be very different on this slate. So I like the idea of that.
CDOME, Kurt is talking like we have about how both coaches pretty much scared of their own shadow, making the kickers a good play. What are your thoughts? Kickers, defenses, your chart seems to have a liking for the kickers.
Yeah, I think Mayer is for his price point too, and given the volume that he's had throughout the season, he's a great play. Also, too, Tampa Bay gives up the fourth most field goal attempts on the season, contrary to Dallas, that gives up the second least field goal attempts. So the Cowboys' offense is very potent too, right? And so they have the ability to have some great drives. And what I've seen is when it gets down to field goal range, Buccaneers, that's when they kind of tighten up a little bit. And I could see Mayer getting a lot of opportunity tonight in regards to that. Absolutely. So for me, I would have to say Mayer way over Suckup. I don't think Suckup will be a priority for me. I think I'd rather just go Mayer if I had to choose between the two. Both kickers, I mean, that's interesting. But other than that, though, the defense is Cowboys 4,800. So right now it's looking like the Buccaneers are actually getting more potential ownership than the Cowboys. Looking at about 17-18%. Cowboys looking at around 11-12%. And the thing is you just have to kind of figure out, okay, what the Cowboys have done. The first 7 weeks of the season, their defense was elite, man. Like, they weren't giving up points. It was hard to drive on them. And they've really just fallen apart since then. What's changed? I'm not entirely sure. I don't know kind of if what's being seen on tape or film has kind of changed kind of the way people are playing it against them. But tonight I think it's like, okay, I think Tampa Bay will try to come out running first, essentially, and I just don't think it's going to really work out, in my opinion. And I think what that means to me is that there's going to be a lot of passing opportunities. So if you feel that these defenses like Dallas can cause havoc with Micah Parsons and the pass rush and get to him, they blitz about 26% of the time. So if they can get to Tom Brady and that offensive line is just not holding up, absolutely, there's opportunities there. And then same thing can be said for the Bucs, right? Because Dak has turned over the ball quite a bit in the 12 games that he's played this year. And, you got to think that the Buccaneers want to create some type of packages and do things to confuse him and maybe, obviously put him in position to turn over that ball. So at 3,400, yeah, I think for the amount of turnovers that he's created and produced this year, given the least amount of games that he's played, absolutely. Like, I don't mind them whatsoever. Will they be priorities? I think if I had to choose, I'm still trying to figure that out, but I do know that Mayer is definitely someone that's starting to get into the builds more. But yeah, I mean, like, if you really feel that these defenses can be in the optimal and, get that defensive score, yeah, absolutely. But I do believe that based on kind of my thought process tonight, I think we see kind of like a 30-27 game. I think there's going to be a lot of passing and, that's just kind of like where I'm going with in tonight's matchup.
I'd hit the like button. Very disappointing number so far. Extreme Assassin is in there trying to correct you guys. He's very frustrated with the way you're pronouncing the name of the Cowboys kicker. And as the official director of pronunciation here at Run Pure Sports, I'm sorry, Extreme Assassin, but you're wrong. You keep harping on it, and it's going to be a timeout for you. So don't go down that road. Hit the like button instead.
I love this timeout feature.
Yeah, I like it too.
I mean, this is
How
amazing.
are you supposed to pronounce this guy's name? Is it not
You're
Mayo?
just doing it right. You're just doing it right. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about what anybody says. We're not concerned. Again, beware of the timeout. Big T, bold call, favorite captain. Your player pool is going to be up around, what, 7:45?
Early tonight, actually.
Early?
Yeah, it's going to be up early tonight.
Excellent.
No NBA helps things, believe it or not. When you got this NBA early and I can actually get in there, we're going to have it up early for the people tonight.
You got to stick to the schedule here. You got a strict schedule. You got to get things done in order. Give it to us on this game.
So, like I said, like it a lot. I think we covered it pretty good, but just for like, I think the key tonight's going to be rules too. Like the slate early in the season when we shipped, it was because I played I think like 3 kickers and defenses as a rule. Tonight, I think an interesting rule I'll leave the people with. I can give a captain too, but I like the using 2, not more, not less, 2 kickers or defenses. It really opens up the salary for what you want to do. And like we've talked about all show, quarterbacks, studs, I want those guys. By playing 2, it really opens things up for you and narrows down your path. And if we can get double digits from both of those, we're going to lap the field of all the zeros from the people like Kurt, Cam Brate, and all these guys that get like 3 fantasy points. We're going to crush those teams because we got 10 plus from our 2 cheap spots. And I think we will. I think 2 of those positions will be in double digits tonight, hopefully like 15. I could see Dallas getting a pick 6 on old Tom too. So I like that. My favorite captain, I wish I could say CD Lamb because he's my favorite play, but I really don't think that's the best roster construction. I do think he's my favorite. I just don't know as of yet. You'll have to get the content over there and see if that's where I end up. I really like the mid-tier. If I had to pick one, though, I kind of like that T.Y. Hilton captain call. I like where these guys were at. My roster construction's clear, though. I want the quarterbacks. I want, like I said, 2 specialty players. And then wherever you land on those other 2 spots, I'm pretty good with it as long as it's not a running back.
All right, there you go. Kickers, defenses, bodyguard wants to be put in timeout. Don't beg. That's not the way to get there. You're absolutely not going in timeout now. CDOME, favorite captain, bold call on this game.
Before you go to CDOME, I do like what the chat said, though. Like when The Rock, we used to watch The Rock, he would like ask him what the pronunciation, well, who's the guy? Like you say, what's the pronunciation? And as he's announcing, it doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah.
Like, I like that.
That's right.
It was this thing.
Yeah, I liked it a lot. It made me laugh every time he did it.
There you go. CDOME, the floor is yours.
Yeah, no, I do like CD Lamb tonight, but I just feel like that's just such an obvious play. But I'm going to roll with Dalton Schultz, in the captain.
That's a curveball. You throwing curveballs at us, CDOME? I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, I think if he gets his 9 to 10 targets, and this is a team that's given up a touchdown in 5 of the last 7 games to the tight end position, these 2 have a great connection. And, there's been multiple games this year where 13, 17, 19, 14, 25 fantasy points. He could easily have that type of night tonight. We've seen what he did when he blew up that slate against the Titans as well. I think Dalton Schultz has a lot of upside tonight given his price point. And what he does in the captain, it allows you to really create a very strong build, but also at the same time get a little different. So right now looking at potential 4 to 5% ownership in the captain, and Dalton Schultz is going to be my bold call.
All right, JSU, bring us home here. Favorite captain. I think you gave your bold call already. You expect Tampa to take this game, maybe take it handily, but go ahead, give it to us. Favorite captain, bold call. What is it?
I mean, this is what happens when you're on the Tampa Bay side, JT. This is what happens to close the show.
All right. Well,
I mean, it's a bad side for Tampa Bay this evening.
Damn.
Okay. All right. Well, So I have a feeling that, and I hate saying this because I do have a feeling that Lenny Fournette is going to have like a 9-catch game for like 60 yards too. It's going to be one of those stat lines where you look at it and it's like gross, but he is on the winner. It has that feel. He got less work the last 2 weeks. He was actually splitting series with Rachaad White 2 weeks ago, and then they played him very little. I think because of the foot issue, they were trying to save him pretty much for this game. So the other thing that I haven't heard us say anything, but Ryan Jensen, I'll be the K-Phallic of the show, but Ryan Jensen is actually news because he is a really, really good offensive lineman that the Bucs haven't had all year. He was activated, so I'm assuming he's going to play. He's Brady's center. They're obviously really good friends. I think he was a Pro Bowler last year too. He's a really good player, though. If he plays in this game, that definitely has to upgrade just the entire offensive line as a unit. I know VIP was in there talking about how garbage their left tackle is for Tampa Bay, but as a unit, I think that helps. And I think that helps in every aspect against a team in Dallas who we're all talking about can put maximum pressure on you and want to. They want to blitz. They want to get after you. So that's a huge key. I will say it, though. I think Mike Evans is the winner in captain at the end of the day. I see 2 touchdowns for him. I see him getting them for at least 1 on a double move, but I could see 2 bombs where he hits the winner and Tampa Bay wins this game. Like I said, though, I do think it's a close game. Tampa does win, though.
All right. Is your player pool going up tonight, JSU?
So all our content, we'll have everything. So you got Big T's player pool. You got my core plays, a bunch of coordinators' core plays. By the way, K-Phallic will have his 3-match strategy, Tambo's slate plan attack, just everything. So playbook done by, I think it's Rubio tonight. I know Rubio and Kurt have been kind of switching, but I'm pretty sure it's Rubio. And we'll have everything you need. I know CDOME posted his chart in there. I'm sure he'll post a core in chat too. So it's just a ton of information. If you're not in the Discord, get in the Discord. We got a ton of information in there. Join up, Run Pure Sports, and get all the winners. Big T's been picking winners, even on the bet side. I'll give Big T some credit because he's not always over there all the time posting them, but I know he posted a bunch of winners. I think he tweeted it too, so you can even go look at what he tweeted. But I'm sure he'll have more winners tonight. Big T, did you post any teasers for tonight or something like that?
We got the back end of a few with Tampa Bay tonight, but we're going to bet the other side. So we're going to have a nice middle tonight. Whoever followed my picks, we'll have Dallas tonight and then Tampa plus 8.5 with those teasers. So we got a nice little 8-point middle. And it started with Jacksonville, the comeback I was tweeting about. I didn't have any huge bets on it, but 500 on one of them. 300, all those Jacksonville added up. And then yesterday, a clean sweep, Saturday, clean sweep. Great weekend. And has anyone confirmed, is Tom Brady going to make out with his son again before tonight's game?
I don't know, but doesn't he have a new workbench, friend?
That was a myth. I mean, CDOME knows about this stuff. That was a myth. Tom wasn't getting in there on that. He'd rather.
He's getting in there.
No, he's not.
No
chance.
Tony, you might have to flip sides.
No
buddy,
chance. He's at home making out with his son, telling his son to come back in the room.
He is doing that too, but I think Tom goes both ways, to be honest with you.
No, that could be. I can see that.
All right.
Well, you think Jensen, the center's involved?
They love each other, so I could see. They love each other.
You think he sits in the room and watches Tom and his kid?
We've gone a little dark here, but just so everybody knows, the player pool for Big T will be up. The player pool for JSU is up. CDOME has posted his leverage chart in there. Code JTH15 if you're not a member, gets you 50% off your first month payment. Big T, before we go, because we're only at 289 likes, we got to get to at least 300. You people are it was disgusting. A disgusting performance by the chat today on so many levels. I had to use the timeout button, which I'm very upset about. Do you want to talk about FanDuel, or are they dead to you?
I've totally forgot about it again. I mean, I was defending them, and then people were like coming after me like, what do you work for them? No, I don't freaking work for them. I had all the teams in too. I worked on it all day, my core. I was just as pissed as anyone. I was just simply saying they didn't cancel the damn slate because of overlay, people. That was my only point. The site sucked. Everything about that was true, but they didn't cancel like as a big conspiracy to avoid the $1 million in overlay. That's idiotic. And whoever was saying that is just stupid. But yeah, let's look at it real quick. We always forget about it. Is there any like just crazy price points? Let me look real quick here. So the quarterbacks, I mean, that's all that really matters on FanDuel to get different is just if there are any price points like CDOME's boy, Dalton Schultz, 9,500. That looks like it sticks out. The kickers look good tonight. Gallup's cheap. T.Y. Hilton, our boy, is actually somewhat expensive, I think. 7,500 feels a little expensive, and that's why I like FanDuel. People don't know how to adjust to the price points as much. Like the 5K. So tonight on FanDuel, just say you want to play both quarterbacks. Let me put it in real quick, just so for the people that have that. So if you play both quarterbacks, you're immediately down under 10K already. We love CD Lamb too. So if you play 3 studs, even if it's not CD and it's Evans or Godwin, I mean, you're down to like 7K per spot. And I want the 2 quarterbacks. I do. So you're going to need cheapies tonight. You got kickers at 8,500. Like I said, Gallup. You got T.Y. Hilton, 75. Noah Brown, 65. It's tough. Julio Jones, 7K. I mean, to play these guys, you're going to have to dig down here. And this, honestly, so Kurt's idea of taking a 0 on DK, I didn't love because of what we can do. But on FanDuel, if Dak, Tom, and one receiver like go for 25, it's not the worst case ever to take a 0 with one of these cheaper guys. And I know it doesn't sound, I mean, don't automatically take one, but you can go down here and play a Peyton Hendershot for 50. That Keefe dude, 5K. Jake Ferguson, 5,500. Cam Brate, 5,500. I mean, granted, I don't want to do that, but FanDuel makes it different for you. I want to play the 2 quarterbacks, and I want CD. So if I want that, you have to get a little creative, and I think it has more value on FanDuel than DK. I really do.
Falik is once again talking about Keefe at 5K on FanDuel.
I'm with him on FanDuel just because
right?
that 5K, like, so look, for example, if we truly punt, if I want the 2 quarterbacks in CD, which I do, if you play Keefe, you're up to 10K for your last spot. Rashad White, Dalton Schultz, defenses, kickers. I definitely think it's in play so I'm with Falik here on FanDuel, actually.
All right. JSU, CDOME, any thoughts on FanDuel?
No, I mean, after the last few weeks, I've just kind of shied away from FanDuel. So, I mean, at this point, nothing against them, but also underdog, the best balls, been hammering those with JSU and everyone on the team. So, kind of just having my focus elsewhere. But yeah, I mean, if you're playing FanDuel, I don't really have much to say, and I don't want to give a take that I'm not really,
Yep, fair enough. JSU?
Yeah, I mean, I think on FanDuel, I get what Tony's saying about the 5K range. The mid-tier kind of, though, just like looks really nice. The kickers look really nice. The Dalton Schultz play, that looks 9,500.
Who you fading of the 3? If you're going mid, though, who you fading of those 3?
Between Schultz,
the 2 quarterbacks and CD and Mike Evans. You can only play 2 of those.
So I'm not fading Mike Evans on a touchdown-heavy site where I think I could see Mike Evans scoring, but CD racking up a ton of volume. I guess it would be CD.
I mean, you can only play 2, though, counting the quarterbacks, unless you're punting a spot. So you can only pick a quarterback and 2 of Brady, Dak, CD,
Tony,
Mike Evans.
I could see 2 of Brady,
2 of the quarterbacks and CD and Evans. You can only pick 2 total.
I mean, if I play double kicker, I could play. Well,
I don't think it fits.
No, I'd probably play Evans and Brady.
Does it fit with
one of the quarterbacks in Evans?
No, it would fit with Godwin or Zeke. It wouldn't fit with Evans or CD.
What wouldn't? Playing both kickers?
Double kickers, yeah.
Oh,
If you
couldn't
play
get
both
3.
quarterbacks and both kickers, you got 12K.
Both quarter. Yeah,
I
'cause
actually
you
think
want
that's a
both
decent
quarterbacks.
build, but you got to fade CD and Mike Evans to do it, which I like those guys.
So honestly, maybe even though I love Mike Evans, maybe that is the build right there.
Yeah.
Kind of.
It definitely gets you a higher floor for sure because obviously you don't have to punt, and you're still going to get a good guy in that last spot. I mean, Godwin,
Yeah, I mean,
Lenny,
listen, you could.
Zeke, Dalton Schultz, all those guys, or you could play. I mean, you're only how much short of you are you of Mike Evans?
You're like 2,000, right? Isn't it 12?
Yeah, you're only 1K. So yeah, I mean, you could play one kicker with Evans, and then you're at 7,500, which is T.Y. Hilton. So there's a build you would like.
That's
And
the
Julio,
build I was.
So that's more of your type build.
Yeah, I think that's the build I'll be going between is something like that. One of the kickers. I think Mayer's definitely the better.
Did you say that properly? Did we get a ruling, yeah. JT? Was that was proper?
It's Maher, right? I think
don't correct it on the show, Mayer.
Don't be Mayer. Don't be a beta. Don't.
All right, Mayer it is. It's Mayer on the slate.
Why do we have the grammar police always out here, man? We're just trying to shit.
Exactly.
Crazy.
We definitely don't have the grammar police. I mean, come on. We got me, JT Hayes. Come on, CDOME. There's definitely.
I'll never forget when I pronounced something and JT was like, "Yeah, that's absolutely correct."
That was my favorite moment of the show all year. He said it with conviction too. Like, no, that was absolutely correct.
Because it was. For CDOME, for JSU, for Big T, I'm JT Hayes. Run Pure, everyone. Go ahead, sign up. Good luck in those contests tonight. JT, get us out of here.